Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.
Stu One International Networks LLC presents Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Welcome to Emancipated Studio. Welcome my uncle, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. That is the new intro. I do have to tweak it, but give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, and give me a 2 in the chat if y'all like the intro. Now I do have to tweak it, because I did hear something that I do have to change. But other than that, tell me how y'all like that intro. Give me a 1 in the chat if you like that new intro. Are y'all able to hear me? All right, I'm gonna presume that y'all can hear me because all right, that's what I'm talking about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say this. I want to thank each and every single one of you for allowing me to reach 600 subscribers. But I want each and every one of you to understand that 600 is not just subscribers. We are 600 community strong. And the only way we're going to stay strong is that if you like the messages, if you like what's going on this platform, then I need you to find one more person and tell them to give a free economic support and hit the subscribe button, because subscriptions are free over here on Emancipated Studios. If you like what you see, make sure you give me a like coming in. That is also free. I also want you to understand that there's a lot of great things getting ready to happen. Not only are we going to be bringing on intellectually and socially conscious people, and by this meaning people that are here to educate and elevate your mind and put you into a plan of action. I need you to understand that each and every single one of you is vitally important to me. I read every single emails. I read every single comments. I read the chats. Shout out to Tough Love. I need each and every single one of you to understand that there is 3 different calls that I've been asked to do. The first call comes from Tough Love. It is time that if you're sick and tired of always having negative messages, if you're tired of always hearing uneducated, unrealistic expectations, then it is time for us to show it by our actions and no longer by our words. If you believe in the hard work that I'm putting in, the messages that I'm putting on, I've even tailored it down where every morning you're getting something that's less than 10 minutes, but I try to give you 10 minutes of power hour. And if you like those messages, if you believe in those messages, if those messages are helping you, then provide those messages to someone else and tell them, subscribe to Uncle Stu's channel. I'm also here to tell you that I have bigger content creators that are looking at this channel. Content creators that normally wouldn't even be looking at me is now looking at me. But I didn't get here alone, and I'm not going to grow alone. I need you. One of the greatest things I could do is be a servant's heart, which means it is my job and my ability to serve you. To serve you, meaning tell me what you need. And if I can't get the answer, I have a network of people I am working with to get you the answer. The second call of action is that I am now connecting to another content creator. Shout out to Shannon, all the way in California, who now wants to contact me, work together to produce intellectual content, which means we are putting together with military-minded people on what we're going to call basic training. Meaning, we are putting together books and information that's going to help you as a man and even as a woman if you're raising a man, because there's 2 things about a book, and I know this for a fact. Rich people read. Let me say it again. Rich people read. And so we're going to now put fire, and we're going to study, we're going to read, we're going to learn, and then we're going to put what we read into action. He's already started his book challenge. And for me, I'm putting that together for you. Because it is time that the real knowledge, real word, and real information gets out to you. The third challenge comes from a man who is mentoring me in the background, both another military conscious and military man. And we are, from a military standpoint, mission focused, results driven. What does this mean? The mission for the month of December is to get this platform up by 200 subscribers. 200. That's the mission for the month of December. Why? I agree with Tough Love when he argues about analytics. I'll make sure at the end of this live, if not by tomorrow, I'll get you his message when he talks about YouTube and analytics. But we also know that game recognized game, and we are in a numbers game. Meaning, what you can do with 300, you can't do, let me reverse that. What I can do at 500, I couldn't do at 300. But here's the reality. What I can do at 1,000, I cannot do at 500. So if you need this message, if you truly believe, then I need to get to the 1,000. This 1,000 is not about money. This 1,000 is about saving lives. And YouTube only works at the highest level with 1,000 subscribers. I am happy being able to educate and motivate people when I have 1,000. Unfortunately, this is a numbers game. And unfortunately, sometimes to get the best of the best, they look at your numbers. They want to see, are you putting in work? Are you serious about who you are? Are you serious about the mission? So once again, this is a numbers game. I'm with Tough Love. I'm not worried about the analytics. I'm worried about the numbers. 1,000 people is what we need. But for the month of December, I need 200 subscribers. You tell them to subscribe and at least look at one video. And one of my videos is less than 10 minutes long. Results driven. What does results driven means? It means we're only going to do things that's going to produce results on this page and results in your life. Results. That's what it means. I used to argue, if you've been sitting in church for 3 years and you're still in the same position, you need to run away from that church. So my attitude is, as not only a content creator, but a leader who has a servant's heart to serve his people, I am here to serve that you get the results you want. You want a happy marriage? I'm here to serve. You want a happy spiritual life? I'm here to serve. You want a happy mental life? I'm here to serve. You want a happy, healthy life? I'm here to serve. That's what I've been trained to do since I was 18, coming into the United States Army. Raise my hand to serve so that you can have a Constitution of the United States, so that you can have the ability to have freedom in a country that you don't even recognize how much freedom we have here. But I came to be a servant to you. And I'm here to say to each and every one of you that I love you, not as a number, but as a person. I take this platform and I take YouTube and I take each and every one of you seriously. Very serious. I take the things that you take the time to write me about, I read them. Let me tell you why I read your emails. There's a man by the name of Tough Love, and he gave a very serious message one day. A very personal, powerful message. And I emailed this man. And he messaged me back within 6 hours. And I knew that when he answered my email, I knew he was real. I knew he wasn't on a platform for likes, clicks, and views. I recognized this man is real. I've emailed other people. I ain't never heard from them yet. I've Instagrammed people. I ain't heard from them yet. But when I emailed him, he responded. Not only did he respond, but when I finally set up this platform, he showed up. There's a little comedy I have. It says, dry snitching on Tough Love. Y'all don't even understand how powerful that really is. Not only that, but he's a military vet too. A retired officer. So I need each and every one of you to know this isn't about me showing off a Cadillac, a car, or trying to make a whole lot of money. This is about you and saving your life. The last part that I'm going to tell you, and I'm definitely going to be writing this message because there is a narrative and I need to destroy this narrative. The narrative says, I am not black because I came from a two-parent home. The narrative says I'm not black because I don't come from the hood. The narrative says I'm not even a man because I didn't do prison time. The narrative says that I had to be a Pookie and a Ray Ray just to be a man. And I'm going to let you know, I'm not that narrative. But it doesn't mean I don't know what it's like to be a man. I don't know what it's like to be black. I don't know what it's like to be a father, to be a husband, because I challenge you. I open up my life to you. And there's 3 things about life you can't find in a book. Find me a book that teaches you how to help a woman who lost a child, an adult child, and how to walk through that. Tell me a book that can write that narrative. Tell me a book. Thank you. And I want to shout out to Shannon. He's not on this chat, but I'm going to make sure he get this live. Show me a book that teaches a man how to do it right when I stayed with My oldest daughter's mother married her and made sure that my children stayed in a two-parent home until my divorce. So if you feel that I ain't perfect, no, I'm not perfect. But here is the reality. I'm a black man that married the first child's mother, and I stayed with her regardless of the situation until all of my children was out the house. And because of that, Shannon reminded me that I did it right. At least I raised my kids in a two-parent home, just like I was raised in a two-parent home. So I don't understand why we are sitting here going to places that has a dysfunctional home and they want to teach you their dysfunction when you got a man that got the blueprint for how to do it right. I am successful because I am here. I am successful because I have the blueprint of success and I have the results to prove it. My daughter and I has had conversations openly on this platform. Yes, we had issues. Yes, we had problems. But you show me another black man that can boldly open up himself, tell all his garbage, tell all his junk, and can still have his child sitting next to him, supporting him, in the chat with him, on Facebook with him, on the live with him, and me and her has real conversations at least every other day. I can show you how to heal from your brokenness of families, unless you want to go to those other platforms that can't show it to you live and in living color. So I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to educate you, to help you. I open up my life to you. I take lack of sleep for you. Why? Because I love you. So like I said, I don't have time to play games. I can sit up here and give you 1,000 books, but I come with results. And my life is a result of success at every stage of my life. So now we can all take a deep breath, but you make sure, as the mission stated, get Uncle Stu to 200 more subs. 200. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and to the man we came to see, I just need y'all to know that when one of those presidents that y'all don't like needed some economic help because, you know, he needed some tax advice before he got caught up into a tax attorney, they called this man. When the state of Texas had their economic issues and didn't know how to raise money, they called this man. When Intentional Millionaire needed some advice for his multi-million-dollar platform as well as his million-dollar portfolio, he called this man. And when we understand that when Blind Guy, his wife, and their life opened up their $1 million theater, they needed to call into the tax man. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you my personal tax attorney, my personal dojo, and the one and only that we got to say, we got to bow down to, because he is the sensei of this platform. Give it up for Dojo of Manhood. Yes, sir.
Yes, son. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you for the intro. Thank you for the intro. Can you please clip that and send that to me? I'm going to put that on my channel. I need that. I need that.
What's going on, sir?
I cannot complain. Can't complain. That's not what men do. Am I right?
That's what they say. But you know what? If I call Bolo, he'll hear me complain every day. Bolo called me like, "What's going on?" Be like, "Man, I got this." And I just give him a whole 1,000 list. Accidental millionaire, I give him a whole 1,000 list. So they let me complain. They still call me a man at the end of the day. But I do get the point, you know.
But you get to work though, I bet.
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right,
yes,
then. All right. There you go, then.
Yes,
there you go.
I lay in the bed crying on a pillow now. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. Now they will kick me in my butt if I try that part. You know, it's like, okay, you ain't got your 5 minutes in. Now get up and do something.
Yeah. Get back to business.
Get back to business. Get back to business. But one thing, one of the reasons why I invited you is because I like the equality you bring when you bring a message.
Thank you.
You hard on the brothers, but you hard on the sisters too. So you show no partiality.
Thank you.
And I like that. I also love your humility because you're 27?
28.
28. You're a 28-year-old tax attorney. And I know that my young brothers don't get the credit, the deserving, and the platform to show that you are not a Pookie, you're not a Ray Ray, you're not a bum, you're none of those things. And yes, my platform is set up to empower men while at the same time getting women to understand the man they want to love and be with. And so I raise you up. I'm always bragging about, there go my tax attorney, you know, because I'm honored by you. He's not in the chat, but I'm gonna give a big shout out before the Beans made it to his 1,000 subs. Mm-hmm. And I am so proud of him. I am proud of him. I want to give a big shout out to Jedi Mike 7. You know, Jedi Mike is in college. He is sitting up there studying, and then everybody don't realize I get text messages personally from him, you know, when he's doing big things on these big platforms, and I shout him out because he's a well-educated brother, very respectful, 23 years old. He's doing the doggone thing. He ain't out here making babies. He ain't out here trying to slam every woman. He's really, you know, mission driven, results focused, and he's doing it. So I'm proud of him. And I'm proud of you. And so I want people to know who you are, you know where you come from and how you got to where you are. You know, you don't have to necessarily shout out your state or city. You know, I know how people can be, but that's totally up to you. But let's take that travel. Let's take that travel. Where was you born and raised, and how was your home life?
Born and raised in one of the original Black Wall Streets. I take great pride in that. I was born and raised in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay. And we're gonna have me and my daughter gonna have a lot of talks when it comes to that one.
Really? I'm curious where that's gonna lead. I didn't think that was gonna be what kicked things off.
I'll put it like this, just to give you a little breath. I lived in North Carolina for 17 years.
Oh,
and I'm trying to get my oldest daughter out of North Carolina right now.
Wait, you said you were Army. Were you at Fort Bragg?
No.
Oh,
I lived in Greensboro, North Carolina for about
okay.
17
Yeah,
years.
you up the street.
Yeah, then I worked in High Point,
Mm.
for about, I think my daughter's going to remind me, about 9 years. So I graduated from John Wesley Bible College, Guilford College.
Yep, I do.
Now you understand why I read and write so much.
I do. I do.
And look, I'm sorry. I gotta show it. Now you understand. See? Sorry.
Hey.
But my other daughters is there. I got one in Charlotte. My one that just got married is in Greensboro too. But me and my son-in-law, I'm trying to get that one up out of here.
Well, we were talking earlier about this. I'm gonna let the first one slide, but I'm not taking no North Carolina slander moving forward. I'll let that one slide.
Well, that's your home state, so I'm gonna let you have that one. But it's to let you know now, we got a little North Carolina in there now.
Yeah,
but no, Durham is very historical. So I mean, we was there when Duke Lacrosse, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we've been.
I was a kid. I was a kid.
Well, I put it like this: we watched Fantasia go from winning to where she is now. That's why I tell everybody, take your mouth off of Fantasia. Because if you don't understand High Point, you really don't understand what she's talking about. You really don't.
High Point is that's another topic for you. And the High Point is they don't get it. They think everywhere in North Carolina is just some random country farm that's got dirt roads.
Yeah,
they don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to share that I do have a intimate knowledge of North Carolina. So, but you grew up in Durham, and a lot of people don't know what that history is that you just stated too.
Yeah,
they always talk about Oklahoma, but they never talk about Durham. So we'll definitely get into that. But you continue. You grew up in Durham.
Yep, grew up in Durham. I'm I guess they say a descendant of slaves. I'm actually able to track my mom's side from the family. She's from a plantation, Virginia. My father's from a plantation in North Carolina. And I grew up, originally, I guess you could say I started out 2-parent household. Then my parents split at about 10 years old. Then I just went to go pretty much live with my mom solely. And I would say my childhood was one, I don't consider it to be the worst of all standards, but I also don't consider it to be one that if I did desire to have kids, it wouldn't be something I would want to replicate for them.
Okay.
And I would say one of the things that in my childhood that really molded me, I'll say, into the person that I've become is that I was able to see two sides of the coin, to where I'll say on one end, my mother's side of the family, completely traditional. My grandfather's he's an Army vet, actually. He was in Vietnam. Completely traditional family and all that stuff. Whereas on my dad's side, pretty much as the catchphrase, mostly that's all demon time over there. Like they're all with any types of, criminal activity for the most part. So I would say having both of those worlds, I got to see both sides of life. And where I grew up in Durham, if anyone who's basically been in Durham, I'll put it like this. I grew up around the beauty world where people who are in Durham know what that means. That's pretty much where all Black women get their hair products. So, pretty much people don't go there after night. The security of the store, they leave at 6 and they bring in the actual police to secure the store, all that neighborhood. And growing up in that environment, I saw a lot of, say, negative things, but I also saw a lot of positive things. The same way where I grew up, pretty much, I grew up in a blood area. So even to this day, just the influence, my favorite color is red. What I've also seen in those same environments, I've seen the core of generosity from people who have nothing else. All they have to offer is their soul. All they have to offer is their, manners. And that's something as well. I mean, my parents taught me these things as well, but those are just some things from my environment that I think has helped mold me today to where, you see me on YouTube. I'm not ducking no smoke,
Right.
but I do my best to show everyone the utmost respect because I've seen it. I mean, granted, nothing's gonna happen on YouTube, but in real life, I've seen things go left at the blink of an eye,
Right.
over the slightest miscommunication.
Right.
And so that's pretty much that's roughly between age 0 to like 12, 13.
You said something, and I want to kind of focus on that. You talked about seeing two different sides of life.
Right.
What was the two sides of life, and what made you choose the life that you have versus the life you could have had?
That's a great question. I have to credit my parents on this because whenever I meet people, they're always shocked when I actually tell them, one, what city I'm from, and then they say, "Oh, you must be from this part of town." I'm like, no, I'll take you to where I grew up. And I have to credit my parents because even though we lived in that specific location, my parents always did what they could to show me something else, something greater. So, for example, I remember one summer, I don't even remember going, but I just remember one summer, my dad took the family to some beach. I don't really like place. I don't even remember going. Okay. But I remember this vividly. This was maybe at 9 years old. Coming back, I was telling the homies and on my block what happened. They never even left the 919. They never even left the area code of where I was at. And those type of experiences that really showed me, there's something bigger in my world. Although we can only afford, say, oodles and noodles, there's something great, there's something else. There is another side of life that does exist. And frankly, I don't know. I mean, I can't really say. I was just never interested in street stuff. I don't know if it's just because I was more of a nerd than a gangster. I don't know if it was because it just never appealed to me at all in any way, shape, or form.
Let me ask you this, because I never want to push a narrative.
It's fair.
But I am doing a program, so I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, Candid Ann used the term duality.
Okay.
And it hit me pretty hard. My question to you is, there's a narrative. The narrative says you're a black man. You grew up single parent. You're supposed to be broke, busted, disgusted. But in your world, and like I said, I know Durham, it just didn't appeal to you. It's like you just knew you wasn't going down that road. How have you been able to fit in as a young African American when your outcome is different than many young black men today, or at least the way it's being portrayed today?
That's a great question. And this is something actually I plan on doing a longer video on my channel. But essentially the answer to that question is that's something that I always had to struggle with in life. Anytime I essentially elevated from a academic or social or professional setting to where I remember, where I grew up in Durham, I remember when, for varsity basketball or whatever, or just even being in honors classes, I don't relate to none of these kids of what they're talking about in these honors courses. However, so the people I spend my most time with outside of my neighborhood, I can't relate to. But when I go back home, it's the same way. They can't really relate to certain day-to-day activities either, the people I grew up around. And at some point I had to come to realize, if I want to go as far as I want in life, shamefully, I have to shed so many friends I knew like from elementary school and middle school to get to the final destination. And that whole, like you said, the whole trying to fit in and such, it is tough. It's tough because I know at the end of the day, for many people I meet, you and I don't know, you and I, we haven't seen the same things in life. So there's only a certain there's a certain wall we can go up to in terms of really connecting. And I don't want to at all make it seem like this is like all Black people and like, who are lawyers have this background, because that's
No.
Yeah, I know you're not saying that.
They're yours,
Right.
Because I try. I on these platforms, I try to elevate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have low level conversation. I need to elevate the conversation.
Right.
Okay. And I need to elevate the conversation because I believe there's more of the elevated conversation than the lower conversation. And what do I mean by that? I believe there's a lot of intellectually minded Black men and women out here who have some awesome experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is their voices can't be heard because it doesn't fit the narration and the norm and the pathologies of everyone else. And it's almost like if you don't have my pathology, then you're not Black. If you don't have my pathology, then you're not, we don't see you. We've done the whole invisible man thing to a whole sector of Black people, and then turn around and say, well, Dojo, since you are, you owe us, although we don't really consider you one of us, but somehow, and it becomes confusing. And I don't think that side of the story, that narrative, has ever been given a voice.
I see.
So when I say I don't push certain narratives, it's because I want you to have the freedom to be who you are in this moment, in this time, without the restraints of a narrative, without, well, I gotta say this, else I'm gonna get beat up in the chat, or I gotta say this because this group is gonna hate me. No, I need you to have the oxygen to speak, and let the chips fall where they may. So if you have something you've been wanting to say, having to say it. Be who you are. Dig deep in you so that people can hear from you.
Right. I definitely get you. That definitely makes sense. And I see where you're coming from. And just going directly back into that, I would say, and we've all heard this before. And to your point, I have gotten occasionally, not so much now, but I've gotten occasionally, oh, you talk white, or just nonsense things like that, I would say, or like you said, not being cool, like growing up, not being cool enough, because I never owned a pair of J's in my life.
Right.
So, not being cool enough for something like in that type of aspect, or not having swag. So I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I would say I like to think of myself at least as an intellectual person who can fit into most social circles. But I will definitely say that is something to where, especially in my professional world life, it is something of a built upon skill set and talent to be able to actually be a chameleon within those circles, as opposed to, like I said, most of these people, they can't relate to nothing I'm talking about from childhood. They can't relate to anything I'm talking about from even just my journey to getting there, where, I haven't said this before, but to where I actually graduated high school with a 2.2, 2.3. I I failed off of my varsity basketball team as a sophomore.
Mm.
And so most people have no clue. They don't realize that, there's just so many things, I guess I would say, about my life or things that have happened within my life that they're just kind of they'd be mind blown to know this, or I know even if I share it with them, it's going to create an awkward environment because they don't. What would you respond to this, or how would you respond to this?
What give me one or two.
Okay.
You talked about your GPA being a 2.0. I think that's an inspiration to any man that's struggling. Really, forget man, anybody that almost flunked out of high school. That's an inspiration. I mean, my daughter, graduated a high school, and 2 years later they told her the high school diploma was no good because she missed 2 classes. That was kind of retarded stuff. Can you imagine what her motivation would have been? She done graduated out of beauty college, and then they tell her, "Oh, your high school diploma is no good," and she got a paper that's validationally no good. Most people would have lost their minds behind that garbage. I understand, what could be going on, but that's a motivation for somebody that, you know what I'm saying, might be sitting here and they get a 2.0 and don't even realize, man, I could still go to law school.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But they don't get to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, absolutely. Graduate high school. I mean, I might even be overstating it. It may not even been a 2.4. It may have been like a 2.2. So
Right.
I failed 3 different classes in high school. And even going into college, I remember it still took me like a semester to basically just get up to. When I went to college, I didn't even know how to use a comma in a sentence. Like in a written sentence, I didn't even know how to use a comma. But people say, it's just something that I try to articulate to people in these types of conversations. It's never really too late. It's only too late when you decide to give up, or when you decide it's not worth, putting in the work to getting better. And, I went from pretty much not knowing how to use a comma at 18 years old, graduating high school, to being in one of the most intense, not just professions, one of the most intense writing sections of law, tax. Because that's all, so it's just something where I tell people, it's not necessarily nothing. I'm not just bragging on myself, but it's just like you said, is to tell people there really is there's no one road to get to whatever success you want to get to. And especially the younger you are, I mean, the mistakes you make or whatever, even if it's not your fault, whatever unfortunate's happened to you, it's definitely time and capability to overcome it. You just got to want to.
I like that. In certain circles, you're known as the hardcore brother. You're the one that be putting it down. You're the one that put your foot on the neck. You be telling me, man, level up, do this, do that. You tell the sisters, because I'll be on your platform in the sense of looking at your videos and stuff like that. Now I don't do that to be doing nobody backdrop research. I'm actually on there to keep pushing you forward in your success. Where did you level up to that? I'm gonna use a loose word. Conservative mindset. That mindset that doesn't allow anyone to have excuses to fail. If I can say it that way.
I would say it's one of the earliest things I could think of. And I almost want to say one of the first words my dad even taught me how to spell was the word unacceptable. And I remember growing up, he would always say, anytime I had an excuse, he would always say, that's unacceptable. Or anytime I had some type of, moan or groan, he would say, that's unacceptable. My granddad, I told you, the Army vet, he, as you just talked about in the beginning, he's all about, results driven. What is the mission? And at a certain point in life, I would say maybe, honestly, I would think it's probably that that year in high school when I failed off the team.
Mhm.
When I realized, oh hell, I can be as good, I can be as nice as I want, I can be as polite as I want, I can have the whole whatever parents splitting and friends dying the game, I can have whatever pity story I want. You won't get the job done, you will suffer the consequences. And my consequences were, as I said, I got kicked off the team, barely got into college. Like I had to eat those consequences. So I would say it started young, and then it just started basically amplifying since then, because it really got drilled into me. Black belt, if you want something in life, if you want to separate yourself, if you don't want to live as an adult the way you had as a child, if you want to be better than not even be better, if you want to live better than just the average Joe walking around in terms of financial, in terms of physical, in terms of emotional, social, intellectual, excuses have to be something that you eradicate from your vocabulary. It has to be something that becomes a foreign language that you never want to learn. And at the end of the day, at least the way I look at it, especially this could be for men and women, but I take this to heart as men. I see us as the primary result driven group. I look at us as the protectors, the providers. We are the warrior race between the genders. And from history, when the opposing army goes into a village, the first thing they do is wipe out the men, because they know once we get rid of the men, everyone else is gonna fall in line. And at the end of the day, I said, no one wants to be around anyone, let alone a man who's just making excuses. And that's just something I've tried to drill into my core. And fortunately, so far it's worked well. But I'm here to get better every day.
The narrative says the reason I fail as a black man is because of the white man, and he got systems that is keeping me down.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lie, I heard this more in the state of North Carolina than when I first moved to North Carolina. How do you argue that narrative? Because you come from a state, and I live in the first state where slavery began. So how do you deal with that narrative? Because that narrative says you have that right.
Right.
You use that as an excuse. We this is where we are. Let's blame them. So how you overcome that?
The way I overcome that is this. Now, like I said, I'm from North Carolina. It's a damn hotbed for white supremacy, and one of the essentially cesspools of the Klansmen.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely agree with that from a historical, from a social, from just all types of a context and I would say literary background. I agree with that. All that can be true and is true. However, at the end of the day, because for the most, and this from my experience, black people I've come in contact with and who a lot, I'll put it this way, everyone I grew up with, and they've even told me this, they chose to gangbang. They ain't have to do this. That's one example. Or, white supremacy, white supremacy is a power among itself. However, white supremacy, that ain't force you to make certain decisions. Either maybe white supremacy ain't force you to maybe, I don't know, we'll just say maybe sell drugs, or white supremacy ain't force you to not be willing to, learn your English, learn English courses so that you could get into college. White supremacy is not to blame for every single thing in your life. It can definitely be an explanation for some things. For others, it can be many things. But I'm a firm believer, for the most part, we all get at least 1 to 2 breaks in life. And it's just a matter of what are you going to do with your break. Now, I get some people don't get that break. But for the overwhelming majority, I definitely see it as we get break. We get a break. We get a. I wouldn't say break. You get opportunities, and especially nowadays, I would say for my generation. I mean, mofos know how to do all types of stuff online with either scamming credit cards or know how to do all types of things with just social media and Photoshop. My generation is probably, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in it, we're probably some of the most ingenious, Negroes that have been around.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are able to figure out how to do all this and you grew up in a house with maybe two buckets of water in it and holes in the wall. Come on, like you got the brain power. And a lot of Black people, unfortunately, even when they do get it, when they do get some financial resources, they want to go right back to. I don't want to say this on your platform. They go
say it.
They go right back to nigga shit.
That's all right.
They don't want to leave it. They don't want to leave it alone. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like they won't leave the nigga shit alone, even for many who do break out of it. Because as Dave Chappelle said, when keeping it real goes wrong. That's a lot. That's unfortunately a lot of Black people's circumstances. When keeping it real goes wrong.
I love it. I told you this is a platform where I'm not going to necessarily push everybody's narrative. I want you to talk about it. I want you to really go in because you need to be supported. You need to be supported. And I know some of the pushback that you get when you go on certain platforms as a man and you're saying, hey, we need to do this and we need to do that. And, I know the buffoonery you get in the chat and, all the arguments.
I love it. You see,
yeah.
See,
but you're a lawyer, so lawyers love that stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, let me say this real fast. See, no, I love it because this is why. Not at all. Most people who actually have an argument with me, they don't actually got to argue. They just don't like how I'm saying it. They just crying about the facts I'm spitting because they can't argue with me about a woman wants a man who is productive. So that's A. B, you get better women or better quality of women when you are a more productive man. So that's B. A plus B. All right, C must mean it's pretty clear you just need to be a productive man to get the higher quality women. Mm-hmm. If you want to argue, then go to the chalkboard and argue what 1 + 1 is. You don't need to argue with me. I'm just telling you what the deal is. And they can't argue with me on this because I am a living embodiment of this. I've talked about this on another YouTuber's channel. I was on there this week where she asked me, hey, so Black Belt, what was it like growing up, with the women? I told her, I ain't get no women growing up. None whatsoever. I was socially awkward. I was kind of corny. I was just aloof and just doing my own thing. But you know what changed? Is when Black Belt said, I'm gonna stop focusing on women. I'm gonna stop trying to just do whatever women say I should do to attract their attention. And I'm gonna focus on making Black Belt the greatest Black Belt that the world has ever seen. And then everything else became a byproduct of that.
Well, I just want you to know. I just made you an international star. The woman I put up there is all the way in. I hope I get it right. I know she's in Europe, but I believe is it Britain, Lady A? Yeah, she's all the way. She is all the way in Europe, but I'm trying to pin down the country. Mm-hmm. But she's all the way in Europe.
I love it. So, Thank you.
For her to be here today, I've seen her on other platforms. So salute to you, Lady A. But yeah, so you're an international star now. And she knows many of the platforms here. She is definitely recognized in the manosphere, believe it or not. So she is someone that knows a lot of the manosphere platforms. She's almost in that realm of the Jessica X that can really
Yep, she's at
break it
London.
down. Yeah. So you're internationally known now, sir.
Good. We need to make international manhood great. Great. That's excellent. But yeah, like I said, this is why I told you earlier. I mean, I don't really think anyone's going to, but I'd love for someone to argue with me about what I'm saying. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Let me ask you this: are you single now?
I am single.
You are single.
Mhm.
Do you ever want to be married?
I'm open to it. You know, it's not something I specifically am dying for because I don't want kids. So that to me would be my biggest motivation to get married.
Okay.
But if it
You say
happens,
you do or don't want kids.
I do not want kids.
You do not want kids. Okay.
I do
Okay.
not.
Okay. Is there any, and if it's too personal, just say, nah, it's too personal. Well, is there any reason why you do not want kids?
I've never have had this fatherly instinct per se.
Okay.
It's just never has hit me to where I felt like I need to have, you know, a genetic legacy. It just never hit me at all. And since I've never had that feeling, I've tried to find other ways to have a legacy, and the way that I am currently trying to do it, not just on YouTube, I've done it in the past, is you know, I've taught, you know, at-risk youth martial arts before.
Okay.
I've been, you know, a mentor to kids. I've done those types of things. I try to help people who are already existing here on the planet.
Got you.
So that's what I try to do.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm pretty careful about this, but if it happens, it happens.
Right.
But it's by no means something I'm at all planning. And if it does happen, if I have anything to say about it, I'll have kids, and I'm fine with adopting. I'll have kids at like 45, 50. Like, I'm not thinking about this in no way, shape, or form.
Right. Now, is marriage on your list, or is career on your list? Because I know
first.
Yeah. And when I say career, I mean, I forgot to ask you how long you've been a tax attorney, you know, but I also don't know if, hey, you just got in the firm, you're trying to make it to a certain level in the firm before, you know, saying, hey, I'm ready for that one woman to be in my life and share in whatever you have going on.
Gotcha. So I actually just graduated last year. So I'll be literally in like 30 days. This will be my first complete year at the firm.
Okay.
And as far as which one comes first, you know, people may not agree with me, but I always say this, guys, whatever your mission is in life, that's got to be first before anything else. So my goals in life are I'm just working as a tax attorney long enough so that I can fund my real estate portfolio. Okay. And I can just focus solely on being a real estate investor. That's my goal.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So women are going to come behind that. However, this is I get this question on dates.
Right.
Where they'll say, hey, you know, so what comes first? You know, your aspirations, your ambitions, or me. I tell them, I knew the ambitions long before I ever knew you were on the planet. But I know that was harsh. So hear me out. Assuming, you know, we are together and all this, you are the main number one beneficiary and focus when I look directly to, okay, who is the person I want to be with? So you're the first beneficiary of all my ambitions. You are my main focus. You are my top priority. You're just not going to come first to that, though. You can't come first to that. That is what, and I've even talked to a woman about this, where she said, why would you like have your I guess professional ambitions first and not the woman? And I told her, I don't think you understand this, but if I like put the ambition second to something, I wouldn't be even the same guy you're with on this date right now, who you're interested in, probably. If that makes sense. Like, if I wasn't focusing on those ambitions so intensely, I would never even been at this point to where you wanted to probably be on this date, or you were interested, or whatever.
This is what I'm going to ask you. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Talk to
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Miss Williams. So don't beat me up. Don't beat me up. Don't beat me up. Just roll with me, okay, Miss Williams?
What is Swim Champ talking about?
Huh?
Oh, Swim Champ said something about Will Smith. I don't know what they're referring to.
Oh, okay. Jill Williams don't understand what that means. She didn't say it in the chat. I'm just using her as an example.
Right.
Jill Williams don't understand this concept of ambition before the woman.
Okay.
I'm just using your words.
Got you.
I said I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But pretend Jill Williams don't understand. How would you switch the words? You know,
Okay.
Perry one of them sophisticated brothers. He, you know what I'm saying? But let's go back and just use her as the example of how would you explain it to her in a different wording or language?
Okay. I would say it like this, hey, Jill, love, listen to me. This is what I'm trying to say about the way I've envisioned my life. I have a certain set of goals, aspirations, and ambitions I want to achieve because I find it as my duty, my obligation, my responsibility to one, myself, and then onto others who are within, my social circle or whoever I want to be around to be the greatest benefit to them. And this is how I'm able to resonate it in my head to where, hey, if I'm being productive, killing the game in the professional world, I'm getting my intellect up, social skills and all that stuff. That's the way where I feel like I am contributing the most to you and how I'm expressing my intense affection and commitment towards you. Because I can tell you I love you. People say they love anything all day, all the time. But I want to show you that I don't just love you. I'm committed and invested in you now and in the future. So this is why I put my ambitions first, because this is the best way I can show that I take you now and the rest of your life that serious.
Jill's pushback is, but I want your time. I need some of your time. I'm 5 love languages. I need time. I need affection. You're giving all your hours to this company, but I need your time, Dojo. So how do you mix your ambitions and the things that she is asking as a woman of you?
Jill, I get what you're saying. You got to understand this, though, especially at this time in my life. My time is my number one. That's my money. Time is my money. If I spend more time with you, Jill, I saw your eyes. They were eyeing that YSL handbag. I saw your eyes. I saw you last night before we went to bed. You were looking on your phone at Aruba vacations. Hey, this is what I need to do to make other, aspirations and goals that you want to occur happen. I can't lay up with you all day long and still be productive. And I would also just have to tell her straightforward, hey, pretty much unless you're gonna get an entertainer and athlete, it's not going to be no different with any other guy who, he's not an entertainer athlete. We got to work like this. So I'm not doing this because it's a strike against you. I'm trying to get back at you. I have to do this to get to where I want. And I assure you, if none of that made sense, Jill, sweetheart, let me tell you this. You do not want to deal with a black belt who is, feeling unfulfilled and unproductive. That is a unfriendly bastard. Like, you don't want to deal with him. because I very much so value my life based off of my level of not just money, but my level of productivity. And I wouldn't want to subject you to a man who's not being productive. I don't think I know you deserve better than that.
I love
that
that.
was my response to her.
All right. Now, just so that everybody know, don't y'all go don't be trying to find Miss Jill Williams. She did not email me in no back channel conversation about this man. So don't be thinking that I'm out here doing matchmaking. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Thank you, Jill, for your support, and allowing me to use you. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. Right now,
no, Jill looked more like she prefer, a trip of one of the Spain beaches, maybe in Barcelona though. So I might have to work a little bit extra hours. Yeah, she might be looking for a trip to Barcelona Beach or maybe so.
Listen, first of all, I want to say I enjoyed what we've talked about. It was awesome. It was awesome. A lot of good stuff. And I definitely want you back on the panel to have some real talk. I'm glad that you was able to feel free to open up in many different areas and share a piece of your life that a lot of people don't know, or wouldn't have known just based on how they want to interact with you. I think you gave a lot of positive, a lot of understanding, and I'm gonna still be down and rock with you.
Thank you for having me.
Right. I'm gonna definitely open up. If anybody want to come up and ask any questions or have any concerns, the chat is open, or as they say, the doors of the church is now open. I got Snuggles in the chat. Let's see what Snuggles talking about.
Snuggles. And yes, and then I am auditioning for a movie. I'm still trying to find anyone who will pay me. So I'm open to acting.
All right. Okay. I presume you understand this.
Oh yeah. She's talking about one of my good friends, the Darker Nation.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had him on one of my lives. So yeah,
okay.
He's talking about one of my friends.
Okay, cool.
And him and I go back and forth about everything. And just in terms of, I was talking the other day about how, basically the man is the leader of the house and he pushes all back on that to what is this patriarchal system? So yeah, right. It's a good talk. I know what she's talking about.
Gotcha.
I really want to know what was it? Swim Champ was talking about with Will Smith. They didn't elaborate. I really want to know. I don't get it.
I saw it, but I never I saw the question, but I thought maybe it was talking to somebody in the chat versus I'm trying to go back. Okay, swim champ, if you still in the building or in the chat, was this a question for him? Here's your next question.
All right. Would you be able to balance a relationship if the woman has become interested? If the woman you become interested in has your same mindset? I presume when she's saying mindset, she's talking about profession.
Yeah, because I was going to ask this question, but I felt it may have opened up in areas that was too expanded. That was going to be one of my questions. Like for an example, you're concentrating on your law degree in order to, your legal profession in order to build your international, your real estate. While let's say you get a woman who wants to be a nurse and
Gotcha.
trying to build up that career, or she got her, say she got a master's degree, or she's working on, her master's degree, and this is her career. And I guess the question would be, how do you balance the two if two people is actually going after a profession?
Okay. I get it now. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I get what you're saying. That can definitely, that can go multiple different ways. What I would say is it truly, I hate to put this, but it really depends on not just her profession, but what is her end game, if that makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And the reason I'm going to say that makes a lot of sense, that destroys narratives.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I'm not about pushing narrative. That destroys narratives, meaning you have to take certain things on a case by case basis. You can't throw this blanket out there. You know what I mean? So what you said made so much sense. Now, if you're trying to be a career janitor, or you trying to be a career, you know what I'm saying? Somebody ain't gonna have no wealth or status at the end. And again, relationships is about the two individuals, not about arguing this superfactual, because anything can happen. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Only thing we can do is try to balance what where we at. So yeah, you answer that beautifully.
And if I were to choose a different, angle, I would say Anina, it really depends on her career choice and where she's trying to go. Because, for example, I wouldn't likely date a model, not because I feel like I'd be, any level of insecurity or anything like that, but
right.
I'm not a big traveler. I'm not trying to go see, all seven. Well, you can't really go to Antarctica, but I'm not trying to go see all 7 continents. I'm not trying to go see 80 different countries.
Right.
So I already know from the jump, something like that's not going to work for me. So like I said, it really is a case by case on what is her career, aspirations, and what is her end game.
Yeah. And remind you, age, generation, all of that factors. You see what I'm saying? Meaning you're 28. How I'm going to see something at 54 and what you're going to see at 28, we're already in 2 different worlds.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I try to understand the younger world, without imposing this. Well, I've been through all this, so you should be able to do it. And we could be we in two totally different generations and worlds. What's going on, Tommy B? Welcome, salute to you, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Uncle Stu?
All right, now.
What's going on, Tommy B?
Nothing much. It was a good conversation. I agree with a lot of what you said. And even more off of what you just said, Uncle Stu. Not even just generations. I think a lot of people need to understand everybody's brains work different, and I think we get. I tell people a lot of times, like, the conditions that Obama went under, came up under, doesn't mean everybody that came up under that condition is going to end up being president. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's brain doesn't operate the same. One of my problems when I was coming up was I had ADD, and I remember times like I would go in a room to do my homework, and literally anything that happened, it'd catch my attention. Boom, 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 boom. And so a lot of that kind of stuff happens too. And I think a lot of people look at stuff and they don't look at the nuances of stuff. I think they look at a lot of stuff too black and white. And if this person did it, then anybody should, and stuff like that. I think a lot of stuff is really nuanced. Even like what you were talking about with like the gang members and stuff like that. That's me.
Yeah, you sure had me looking down like, is that my fault?
No, that's me. But no, I for surely. I was talking to my dad. I think yesterday about this. But I surely know people that just, if they had got out of that situation any different than something that he did, it would have been weird. I mean, I know people
Right.
who grandmas were selling crack. I mean, it,
Mhm.
if that's what you coming up under, I don't know what you expect. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think it's weird because hearing your story, I kind of I kind of relate to a lot of it or whatever. As far as I unfortunately I kind of did kind of go down that road a little bit. I say I more kind of tipped my toe in it. You know what I'm saying? And I went through a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily have to go through because my parents didn't. The way my parents raised me was to be away from all of that. But I had an older brother who had a heavy influence on me, and I was trying to chase to be like him. But my counter was my dad, and that's where I got lucky at. Where a lot of guys don't have that dad, that's the counter. So whereas my brother could show me how much money he made in the street, my dad was the counter to show me how much money he could make from side jobs and this, that, and the other. And if it wasn't as much, it was more than what my brother was doing. You know what I'm saying? And it was also, the dudes on the street, my dad can show me he was making as much or more than them dudes too. So I think that's a big thing in our community is a lot of these dudes ain't got nobody to show them that counter. If all I see is this is where they getting the money from, I mean, 2 + 2 make 4. You know what I'm saying? That's where the money and I tell somebody on another one of these broadcasts, man, I didn't know what an engineer was till I was in like my probably older 20s. Had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Like just the closest thing I knew to an engineer, I think they used to call like the train dude the engineer. That's
the conductor or something.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's a real thing in our community is just lack of knowing. And then another thing I was lucky with too is my dad and them did specific things to get me out the hood, even though I didn't necessarily leave Oakland until I left for the military, but I did stuff like I went water skiing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I stuff like that people don't understand how big that is. That a lot of kids don't experience. And then in our community, there's people that just don't leave the community, don't even leave the actual hood that they in.
Yeah. Hey, what? I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. Hey, Uncle, what I say? What did I say? I went home. I went back home, talked to the homies. They ain't even left the damn area code.
Yeah.
Like I told them I went to the beach. They to their minds. I told them I went to Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I ain't making this up. He just validated it. I ain't making this up.
My first deployment, I went to Spain.
What branch?
I was Navy.
You was Navy?
Yeah.
Me and Tough Love, we forgive you.
Hey, man. hey, check this out. When we traveled, y'all went to work. We went to have fun. Know that. But when I went to Spain, it was crazy because I remember coming across the globe one time, and I just happened to like look at Oakland and look at where I was at, and it blew my mind because I'm like, bro, nobody in my family probably has ever or will ever have went this far. And it just kind of messed me. And from there, I mean, I ended up going to Greece, Italy, Dubai. I mean, just a whole bunch of different countries that I never in my life would have thought that I would have been to and stuff. And it 100% changes your mind and your perception and stuff. I think the hardest part though is when you grew up. So where I grew up at, because there's a lot of people that grew up in the hood, but you kind of exist. And then there's people there that like you're entrenched.
Right.
And I was able to maneuver amongst, out there we call it, them boys, like the boys. And it's an extremely hard situation when you can actually move a certain way and to make that choice not to. If you don't have the option to go out there and, get a pack, then it's easy to not have ever, done that. But when, I remember a conversation I had, man, I'll never forget it when I got back from the military and I was putting in application after application after application after application. And, when I look for a job, it is a job for me. I was looking for a job so much when I went to the to the office, they knew me by name. Mm-hmm. And after a while, I said, man, I'll never forget this. I went in my mom's room and I said, hey, and, I was kind of crying. I said, yo, I apologize, but I'm about to go to Oakland, get it how I live. And she took me and she said, nah, as long as you got a roof over your head, that's last resort, and I think luckily a week after that, I think I ended up picking up a job. But I don't think people understand that having that temptation right there and actually being able to have that as an option, it's extremely hard not to exercise it when you face some of the stuff we have to face, being unemployed, being a grown ass man and living in your parents' house, even though you're putting in a full effort to try to get out of that situation. And you looking over here, and my partners is driving 745s. You feel me? They got, $1,000 shoes on and stuff. And it's like, bro, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. So
if you don't mind, how old are you, Tommy?
I'm 39.
39. Okay. Yeah. I want you to help me out. I'm gonna give you some arguments, and I need some answers.
Okay.
Okay. One argument. We on the internet. I'm 54. We didn't have internet when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. We didn't have access to all this World Wide Web stuff. And I argue that we are now in a generation where we shouldn't have a whole lot of excuses not to be successful because we have access to information. We have access to men and women online who are professionals. Mm-hmm. Even during this pandemic, we got access to therapists, we got access to lawyers, all this access. Help me with understanding why we're not utilizing what we have access to today.
I'll give you a big one that I'll show you. With the military, when you get out, we have access to it. Most people don't know. I came across therapy on an accident. You know what I'm saying? I ended up signing up for my disability, and I ended up being able to stop. I ended up
you okay? Look, I got it. I got it. You're all right. You're all right.
I ended up
right. As long as you don't show up on camera, we good.
I ended up having to do therapy for to do my claim, and it was crazy, man. The stuff that because I think this is one of the biggest problems that I think we don't acknowledge is F all the slavery, F all the Jim Crow, the trauma we go through in that neighborhood, bro. I never looked at it as trauma. It was every day for me. I seen on the other show when I think it was Trill was talking about some of the stuff he had went through in his neighborhood, and he didn't never even look at it as it was just another day. And it's stuff that, man, I remember I used to talk to people in the military, and they'd be looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, bro, I ain't even told you the wild stories. This medium, I work in Oakland now, and I get off to work the gunshots. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can hear them in the neighborhood. And so a big part that people, because I know I'm very new to this community. I'm literally probably 2 weeks in on even finding everybody in this thing. But what I've noticed in these conversations is I don't think a lot of people understand what these, quote unquote, Pookies and Ray Rays are going through, man. A lot of these dudes is mentally messed up. So we're talking about them finding stuff like that. Bro, they got to get their brain together, man. I got 2 little brothers, man, that witnessed. I'm talking, one of them was sleeping on the very couch his friend got murdered on while he got murdered. And these 2 was in the suburbs when that happened. You know what I'm saying? The stuff, I got little cousins, man, that ain't even 10 years old that have seen murders. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even acknowledge that part. We just see the results of it and then tend to antagonize it and stuff. And I get it because of how people act or whatever. But I think people really need to realize that, man, these people out here are really messed up. And it's not an excuse. It's not no victim Olympics like they like to throw out here. It's real, bro. I don't know very many people where I come from. I ain't seen nobody get put down. I remember I worked at UPS part-time, man, 4-hour shift. Saw my boy on the block. What's up? Woo woo. By the time my 4-hour shift was over, he was gone. It was candles.
Let me ask you something, because and if you gotta go, trust me, I'm gonna try.
I'm good.
Okay. I'm not from California. Mm-hmm. And I see that a lot of people I hear have these conversations that you're talking about is in California.
Yeah.
It's California, it's other cities or states the same. And I'm only saying that is because let me give you
Go in the room. Go ahead.
let me give you one of my arguments. And again, when I say argue, it doesn't mean I'm pushing back on your experience. Okay. One of my arguments is when I grew up in New York, and I'm talking about the 80s, California was talking about a whole lot of stuff in their rap music. We couldn't relate to what the heck they were talking about in New York. We didn't have Crips and Bloods in New York. We didn't have drive-by shootings in New York. California seemed to have been speaking a whole different language. Did I lose it somehow? Or would you say California, like Chicago today, is just the outlier versus the norm throughout the United States?
To be honest with you, I just think it's your position in the hood. I think you can position yourself in the hood where you see. I got one friend that didn't see none of this. I got one friend that I grew up with, bro. One friend that went to college. That's it. Everybody else, and not saying everybody else went down the wrong road, but just one friend that went to college. Everybody else, if they not 9 to 5, it's a lot of prison. It's a lot of, dead. It's a lot of that, and I think that's in most communities. I just think that one, you don't get people that vocalize it like me because I was able to go to therapy and find out that it ain't normal for this, and this to happen. It ain't normal for this, and this to happen. For me, like I said, I looked at it as like another day. It was what it was because that's all I knew. Like I said, before I went to the military, all I knew was Oakland. And even that messed me up. I remember when my first duty station was Texas, and me and my boys riding around.
You said Navy, my bad.
Yeah. No, I was in Corpus Christi, South Texas.
Oh, but I know that area too. Yeah.
Yeah. So we riding around and we passed by a liquor store and I see, some dudes hanging out. Immediately, I went and got a strap. Legally, but I went and got a strap. That's my mindset. Oh, okay, that's how they get down. I ended up having a barber out there that happened to be from Oakland. It was a chick. And I'm talking to her about that. And she said, the difference out here is it could be 100 dudes in front of that stuff and ain't none of them got a gun. And I'm like, it didn't even make sense to me. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? Because I had seen nothing else. Man, where I come from, if somebody say I'm going to be back, y'all better be gone. You know how many times I was in Texas, somebody said I'm going to be back, and I'm looking at the news the next morning, ain't nothing happened. And it's tripping me out. I'm like, bro, man, we on the freeways out here, bro, and it ain't even safe on the freeways. I think they up to 80 shootings on the freeway out here, bro. And that's what I'm saying is people don't account for that type of trauma. So when I went to therapy, I found out a lot of the BS that was going on in my relationships was related to that trauma. I had attachment issues. When girls would get close, my brain would automatically find a reason to push them away, like just straight up. That's stuff that's not acknowledged. It's.
There's two people I talk to almost on a daily basis. My daughter, Intentional Millionaire. My daughter and I had a similar conversation to this. That's why I put that post up, meaning a certain level of people that is extremely traumatized. But Intentional Millionaire said something, and I want y'all to kind of look at it, chat it out, because my next question is going to be, if I had to do something on this platform, what would, because I said I'm a servant. And one of the things I try to argue is, okay, if I don't understand, I want this platform to be, tell me your story so that I can do something on a solution base. Because at the end of the result, I said I am results driven. So I'd rather find something to say, here's the results driven mindset. But check this out right here.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can I respond to that? I'll respond to that first.
Yeah, please.
because I actually want to just quickly build off of what Tommy B just said, because like you said, California is just a different world with gangs. So I could just say from my experience being on the literal opposite coast, North Carolina, in that I wholeheartedly agree with them, where I'm not at all saying North Carolina gangs are anything equivalent to that. But Tommy B's right, where a lot of people don't realize at the same time, the Pookies and Ray Rays, there's a lot of people in these communities that just have mental illness. As he said, I didn't talk about this, and I'm not necessarily just trying to one up.
No. We gotta get these. I told you we gotta.
No. It's not that. It's not that. What I'm saying is,
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not saying it's just to try to I can always relate to just anything someone says, but like Tommy said, it hits you different when one, you're growing up poor, and then two, you're growing up poor and extreme violence. Like those, like being poor relatively, you could get over that relatively. Like you just gotta fix your money situation. Like when you grow up poor and you've seen someone get, I don't know if you know this term, Uncle Stu. I'm sure you do, but I'll explain if you don't. When you've seen someone get broad daylighted, do you know what that means?
I do.
Okay, that's something that you can't really. Your life's forever changed.
I ain't gonna lie, I can't relate to none of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm being when I say to people, I can't relate to that. Like gunshots to me was when I went to the gun range with my dad and he was a cop. I can't relate. But when I try to explain that to people, like, listen, I'm not denying your experience, but if I can't relate, don't deny my experience. Right. Oh,
you just can't relate.
I wish you would come up here because he might can relate to some stuff and even put context to things, because this is where I get stuck, because it's like, okay, all I can do is hear the story.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, use the word empathy, which is really to feel what's going on. And it's like, okay, I'm lost. I'm not denying these men's experience, but it's like, well, I'll be doggone what? I can't relate, and so it makes me feel. That's why I asked you, Tommy, is this something that is just happening in one state, or am I freaking lost? Where is my disconnect with all of this?
I think it's just my fault, bro. I didn't mean to step over your toes.
No. Either one. I don't care who.
I think you have to understand that even the people that are going through it are trying to figure it out. So I completely understand why you don't get it, because again, I didn't know. I'll give you a perfect story in the military that I had no idea it was a tick.
Okay, so I'm listening to you. I'm just gonna switch off the cam for a minute.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So we would be in a room, and I would hear like a person with some speakers go by. Yeah. And I never noticed it, but like every time I would go look at the window. And it wasn't like something I consciously did. And then I go through the therapy and I kind of brought up that story, and she asked me, what do you think could have triggered that or whatever? Listen, that I never thought about. And then I go, oh, okay. And mind you, I'm in Oakland. We don't have the gang thing. We have it's just hoods against hoods.
Right.
But the hood that I was in was we call it funking. We was funking with another hood.
Mm.
And I'll never forget, I heard some beat coming down the street, and I looked out the window, and it was 412 gauges hanging out the window. And literally minutes later, we heard what we heard. But it never triggered in my head that when I hear, speakers, I'm running to the window to look. And it's not even like I was doing it to be scared or nothing like that. It was just like a tick I got. I would just go to the window and look, or whatever. And it's little stuff like that's a minimum thing. That's a minimum effect.
I got one for you, brother.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, I got one for you. I'm sure you can relate to this. I've done this on dates where I ain't even realized the tick. To where, if I'm driving, and a chick will say, oh, like we could pull into here. I was like, no, I can't reverse park here. And she's like, why do you always got to do this? And like you said, it's not even intentional. I look at her crazy, like, what do you mean? Why do I got to do this? why don't you do this? But then, like you said, it hit me. I realized, hold up. She probably got no clue about none of this reverse parking. She don't understand when as soon as you hit the stoplight or stop sign, check all 3 of your lights. She don't get none of that.
We don't even stop, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, after dark, I don't stop.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like you said, like Tom, you know what I'm talking about. But like the Stu was saying, there are people like they don't know, and I don't even think that's wrong. I think that's good that you can't.
Yeah.
But it's like something like they have no clue, like you said, why. And sometimes we don't even know why we have these tics. It's just almost I would say we're almost taught it unconsciously, so we don't even recognize it. Or perfect example, bro. You already know what I'm talking about. You've seen a car one too many times in like 5 to 10 minutes.
I pulled out before.
I don't give a damn if it was a school bus. I've seen it too many times. Like, what you doing? What you like? You know someone around here? Like, yeah.
So you had somebody hit the lights before they go in their driveway, bro. It's like
the number one question. The number one question. Hey, yo, Tommy, where you from?
Oh,
the number one question.
We can start fighting off of that. Okay. I you know what, Stu? I'll give you a very, very minimal thing that I had to stop doing. Me mugging. I spent 20 years of my life not smiling on purpose. Yeah. To where I literally had to mentally make myself smile because it's a weakness in Oakland. You walk around with a smile, fuck you smiling for? Like,
or laughing.
Something that simple.
Or laughing, what your silly ass laughing all the time for, bro?
Yeah. It's so and so that's why it kind of trips me. I mean, and again, like even on the other show, I had to explain to them because a lot of them, even with the whole baby daddy, baby mama issue, I think a lot of people in this space think it's only one way with that. And it's only I have that situation. I got 2 friends that were married and getting divorced right now. Their situation way worse than mine. I've never had a problem seeing my kids. Both of them have a problem seeing their kids right now. Mm-hmm. And I was never married to neither one of my kids' mom. But if you come into this space, you would think if you get married and divorced, then it's going to be handled like this and everything's going to be graceful and da-da-da-da. But if you're not, then it's going to be screaming and yelling. Man, I ain't got no screaming, no yelling. I ain't in no courts. None of that. I ain't on nobody paperwork. Ain't nobody taking nothing out of my check. If they need something, they know they can tap in. I'll shoot them what they need. Mm-hmm. I get my kids whenever I want to. Every day after work, I pick them up, drop them off before I go to work, and every other weekend. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm glad to hear that for you, brother. I'm glad to hear that for you.
Well, first of all, I want to salute you, Tommy. I want to salute you that you found at least a platform where you can share share who you really are. You know what I'm saying? And have that freedom to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take it lightly that out of all the thousands of platforms, whether it's in the manosphere or not, you know what I'm saying? You chose this one to be able to even have that discussion. We Ain't Signing Itch was one of the first people I've ever interviewed, when I started this, when I say started these interview platforms. We Ain't Signing Itch can relate to you because he come from the hood of Philly. You know what I'm saying? He come from straight hood of Philly. So he definitely has the conversation and can relate to you on that level. There's areas that I can relate because I know for me, it took 30 years before I was diagnosed with PTSD. So I understand it.
Me too. I understand
the mindset of why I do what I do when I do it. So I can relate to that aspect. So I got you. And not knowing that there's help, I'm talking about the veterans. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I can relate to that. So I get it. I can connect, with that aspect. We Ain't Signing Itch. If you want to come up, I'll drop the link. Just let me know.
My fault. We Tommy and I just kind of like we kind of went on to something else. We can answer that other question. You mentioned about the exposure for what Tim said at
No,
8:41.
you're fine. I'm letting you. I'm a very spiritual person, so when I know the platform is not going to the far left, to the far right, but it's flowing the way it needs to flow, it flows. I'm going to use God. It's flowing the way God needs it to flow. Um, and the reason I say I'm letting it flow the way God needs it to flow is because I'm from this mindset, and I'm gonna use we ain't signing itch as the key. My attitude is, out of 1,000 platforms people can be at, y'all chose this platform to say what you have to say and to have the platform that speaks. We ain't signing itch out of all the knowledge he knows and out of all the spaces he knows. He chose this platform to keep coming in, keep dropping that knowledge, keep dropping the wisdom, keep dropping the understanding. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it is what it is. We ain't signing itch. I'm gonna just let you know there's been discussion, and the platform, the platform you want to do, my brother, I'm willing to open that up and let you run that platform. Although I'm here and I know where you at, we willing to let you do that platform because you got knowledge of things that I don't, but I'll give you the platform to run it.
And
Okay, Stu. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's communicate by email or WhatsApp if you have that. We
I'll
can
get
communicate.
WhatsApp if that's easier for you.
Well, WeChat is the easiest, right? WeChat's the easiest, but I'll send you like how to do that in an email because
Okay,
WeChat
cool.
is. But sometimes if you have a problem with WeChat, then you have to use WhatsApp. But first, to Dojo Manhood and Tommy B. First, I want to give you y'all props. What's up? You know,
what's going on, man?
fantastic stories. I was hearing while I was doing some things in the morning, and first I want to say congratulations on making it out, because if you not like
Thanks.
there's the hood, and then there's the hood where people getting shot right next door, right? Where you're like, oh, he got shot. Like I got shot hanging out with a friend of mine, right? And sitting up in the hospital getting shot in the leg. So first, I want to say, congratulations for making it out. Congratulations for being upstanding citizens, because it's hard. It's hard coming out of there, and people don't really understand how hard it really is to come out of that area. That because there's poverty, and then there's poverty with violence, and some parts of the hood is poverty with violence, right? Like sometimes when you because there, it's that jail mentality because everybody come out of jail back in your neighborhood, and the hood just runs like a jail, even though there's no more jail because 60% of the population is there, right? And for the folks who don't know that experience, that's where we come from, right? We come from a space where everybody went to juvenile detention. Their parents been in prison, or their mom, single mom, is dating a dude that's been to prison, right? So everything is run like that. And so even though we never been to prison, we had to follow those kind of prison culture, prison unwritten rules, right? And so you got to know that. And so with all that saying, and so to make it out of there is a hell of an accomplishment. And a lot of times, black men don't get praise and they don't get appreciation. And I'm big on praise and appreciation. So I just want to say thank you, brothers, for making it out, and thanking you guys, because more people like you keeps us safe, right? Because people need to see narratives like that. Because one of the reasons why we get shot from the police is because the narrative is black men ain't ish. So it makes it easier for a cop to pull on you if he's having a bad day, right? And especially where we come from, right? Because you only one cop bad way a day from getting shot. And back in my day, right, cops didn't shoot you. They would put phone books over your legs and beat you. So there's no marks, right? Because that's how they get down in Philly, right? They beat you so there's no marks, so you can't press charges because you don't have evidence of markings on your body, right? So that's all I really want to say. But for Dojo Manhood, I do want to say one thing. Man,
Yep.
I appreciate you, man, but I kind of have pushback on making enough money to get love and respect from a woman. You should be able to get, and I'm not saying don't be a provider and protector. I'm not saying that. But
Mhm.
that shouldn't be the catalyst to care for me as a human being. I'm a human being and I'm going to treat you with love and respect. So just on that, I should get your same love, respect, and femininity, right? Now I'm going to do for you because I love you. I'm not going to do for you and earn for you to get that from you. Because if I have to do that, then it wasn't genuine in the first place. You feel me? I should get that because you rocking with me, whether I'm on or off. Because what if I fall off, right? It happens. I fell off twice, right? I was 35 years old living with my mom back in 2013 because of some situations, right? Right? So now does she leave me? Does she go somewhere else? Right? Black men are human beings, right? Right? We're human beings. Don't we deserve that level of respect and femininity because you chose me just off the base of I'm a good human being?
Right.
Right. And
And
so
sorry, go ahead.
that's
My bad.
that's where I draw issue from, because I don't draw issue from you have to make money and you have to be a provider, because I do agree with that. But that is not where I disagree, is that has to be the prerequisite for your femininity love, right? I should get that because you chose me, because you like me beyond whatever provision you gave me. And I should get that because I'm a human being. You feel me? Because black men are always relegated to what they've done. Look at Kobe Bryant when he died. No, like the community, all the community said, oh, his money going to out of the community now. Right? You cannot ignore the perception that existed from slavery, that we are mules, we are workers, and the only value a black man has is how can he serve someone. We got to break that, because that is white supremacy. And that's all I'll say to that, because I'm not disagreeing on the point of providing and provision. I'm disagreeing that that is the qualification to be treated as a human being. That's all I'm saying.
And
I like that spin on words. I know, Dojo, you said you have to leave, so let me let you get the last word. And I'm gonna say this, Miss Jill Williams. I'm gonna ask the moderator to drop the chat. Um, because Miss Williams, you are from. I think you have something to say. And although this is a man's channel, I let women really speak and have a voice. And your voice is absolutely needed. So I'm gonna join Intentional Millionaire and saying, please take the time and come on up. If you feel your hair ain't done and you don't want to show yourself on camera, that's fine, but come up and at least give a voice to this conversation. It will be greatly appreciated and greatly honored. Okay, I'm sorry, Jojo.
no problem, no problem. And like I said, first I want to thank you again, Stu, for having me on. And I just
Yes,
got 3 points before I head out. We
okay.
ain't signing ish. Like I said, I won't make it long, but I get 100% what you're saying. And I don't say this to change your mind. I'm going to say this to give more context to what I meant, and hopefully my position becomes clearer in the way that I meant, clearer than when I articulated it the first time. So when I say you need to be a provider, and I think we all can agree that's not just money, but when I say as a man you need to be a provider in terms of the financial, if I'm gonna focus on that, what I am saying is not that you need to be accomplished in a financial sense for her to show you any respect or to treat you like a human. Because I agree with you. Whether the man makes 500 grand a year or he makes 500 grand for his whole lifetime, that man does deserve, respect, and he has his dignity and he has integrity, and he should not be disrespected. And women should just be feminine regardless of who they're dealing with. I do agree with you on that. My point was just solely to the notion that, okay, let's say we're already in the position where this woman, she treats you with respect. She's being feminine and all that other stuff. Okay, part of the thing that's going to convince her to intensify her feelings and her commitment and her investment in you is going to be those other things. Not just money, it'll be your intellect, it'll be your social, it'll be your emotional and all that. But I'm saying you have to elevate yourself to a certain status, not just money, but money is a part of it to entice her to intensify that reaction to you. Not to get that reaction, period, but to intensify that for her to feel like, okay, I already, am feminine and respectful to him. But what is it really, and what benefit is it to me to up it to the next level, if that makes sense? Like I said, I'm not saying you got to agree, but hopefully that clarifies it to where I wasn't trying to say they
No,
just
it
need
does.
to.
It does. Because now that you clarify, I totally understand your point now. So I misrepresented, but it does. It does clear your point. So I don't have any pushback because whether it intensifies or not, I mean, I do believe in service. I think both people should try to give their all in a relationship. So I don't have an issue with that. Like if you want to intensify, you want to give more when you have more, whether it's finances, whether it's wisdom, whether it's just, helping her where you can to support her and no problem, right? I mean, I love her, so I'm willingly and happily doing that for her. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. The other thing was, like I said, just to get to that point that Tim. By the way, what's going on, Tim? That Tim mentioned about the exposure, and if I heard We Ain't Signing Ish's story correctly, and I just heard Tommy's, and I just told my own. I completely, that is generally the key indicator, or I'd say probably the biggest influencer to a child choosing a different path is, what do they see? What, one of the first memories I remember as a kid was seeing a pregnant woman buying crack. That's one of the first things I remember seeing growing up. But I've seen also at 9 years old the inside of a Hilton lobby. So I saw other things. I wasn't just relegated to, I'll just say the poverty and as We Ain't Signing Ish said, the intense crime and the, jailhouse culture. So I completely agree with what Tim said. It's all about generally going to be the exposure as the main, in my experience and what I've seen in others, the main influence and, pushing a child to a different lifestyle. But
let me ask you real quick before you go.
mm,
Being that we're on the exposure part,
right.
would you argue that in reality, I couldn't necessarily just have a platform to do one level of exposure? It got to be a hands-on approach. In other words, take money, go into the darkest. I'm just using this term, so forgive me if I'm saying it wrong.
No problem.
Darkest areas of the community, get a bus, put them on, and expose them to a totally different environment or neighborhood. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm understanding? In other words, my platform would have to expand beyond this YouTube atmosphere. Is that what I'm hearing?
I actually have a friend in Philly that does that right now, and I donate to him to get the kids.
That George Mason?
Yeah, well, that's one. George Mason is one of them. I don't know who Tom talking about, but
Oh no, I
that
got a
guy.
friend named Dwayne Moment, and he's from Philly, and he does the same thing.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's definitely an
George
example.
Mason. That's why when you said Philly and George Mason, I knew the combination.
But yes, Uncle, so that's definitely an example of something
Okay.
you'd have to do. But like I said, sorry, fellas, got to run. Hey, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Tommy.
Take
We
care.
ain't signing ish. Tim, you already know you, my guy. Uncle
Appreciate
Stu,
you.
shout out to you.
Appreciate
Shout
everyone on
out.
the panel.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night, brothers.
All right,
right.
now
Take
have
care.
a good one.
And Uncle Stu, to give you an example of how even if you had that, it still might not work, is Alpo, who just got killed. From what I understand, he actually was sent to a family in the suburbs that was very well off, and they actually knew a whole nother side of him. They knew him as, I believe his name was Albert, and they knew him as that. And when they found out about the stuff he was doing when he went back home, they was completely surprised. So it's also a thing of, like I said with the Barack Obama thing, everybody doesn't. You can take 100 people and go down the exact same road and have 100 different outcomes. And I think people in general don't seem to get that. They seem to get that if I did it, then you should be able to do it. And it's like, it just doesn't work that way. I never look at my personal situation and put that expectation on anybody else, because I realized the privilege I had with growing up with my mom and my dad, and the lessons that my dad gave me that a lot of my friends flat out didn't have. I mean, just period. I mean, I tell people all the time, when I ran from the police, I wasn't running from the police. I was running from the ass whooping I was going to get if I got caught.
Mm.
My other friends didn't have that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's huge in my story. So if I was to come out and tell my story and not even acknowledge that much of a difference between me, my outcome, and other people's outcome, then it'll be ingenuine. And I think that's what happens is a lot of people don't reflect and understand the privileges they may have. And it's crazy to say that, you know, having a dad, there's a privilege, but coming from where I come from and seeing the results, it definitely was. And seeing that as a privilege and acknowledging that, and then I think that's where the empathy comes in. And that's why I can look back, and that's why I don't necessarily go the Pookie and Ray Ray way, because I grew up with them cats. I know what they went through. You know, I know what happened when they went home. I know the experiences they went through. So I understand people, you know, throwing that out there, and it don't bother me or nothing like that. But I can't never go down that way, because I know them cats personally, and I know why they act the way that they act.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
this question. I and then I'm gonna have intentional millionaire speak. Um, my question is, this is my struggle because I don't come from that background, even though I'm willing to open up the doors to help anybody in that background. Why do I feel or believe I'm always being rejected from that particular background, in the sense of, okay, I come from parents, I'm black, I'm willing to help if you tell me what you need. And it's always, well, if you didn't go to prison, we don't see you as black. If you don't come from this dirt door, this crazy poverty background, you ain't black. If you ain't did none of this stuff we did, we don't recognize your blackness. So how in the heck can somebody who don't have that background, didn't have to do time in prison, help if it appears that that community is also rejecting the help? If you understand what I
You
mean,
want me?
or do
You
I
want me to
got it
answer?
wrong? Huh?
Oh, so I can tell you, for me as a youngster, we used to kind of reject it a lot of times. I think just, I mean, first off, it's just immaturity, just number one. Number two, I think it's kind of a conscious thing, because you know you're doing the wrong thing. So if somebody's coming around trying to show you the right thing, it's almost like you're pointing a finger at them. You know, and again, you got to remember you're dealing with young ones. I think the best that you can do is maybe go find one that's willing to listen and just help that, because overall, again, a lot of the kids in this space are just messed up in the head. And I think that's what's not being acknowledged. I think we're just looking at them as regular kids, and a lot of them aren't. Whether it's the, you know, they're the man of the house, whether it's if their mom is even at home. You know, I knew a lot of kids that they went home and it was their house, you know, and that's generally the houses that we used to go over, you know. So when you dealing with a kid that's dealing with that much trauma, you can try, but more than likely you're not. They're going to reject you. So I think it's just in doing that job. It's kind of like acting. You're going to be rejected more than you're going to be accepted. So you just kind of have to get used to rejection if that's what you want to do, and just keep on pushing, because the realistically you're going to be rejected in that situation, because you're telling somebody, hey, you're doing this wrong. Let me show you right. And a lot of time also is, if you can't show me better than what I'm doing now, then I ain't trying to hear you. And that's a huge problem in the hood. That's why I said I had the benefit of my dad, who was doing better than a lot of these dudes in the hood. Like, I didn't even have to grow up in the hood, and that's a whole nother thing. But you know, I didn't have to grow up there. because my dad did construction. He made a good enough amount of money, and my mom made a decent amount of money. So I was, I was, I think that's another thing I can say that I kind of had privilege was my dad made more or as much as a lot of these guys. So I, it was easier to listen to him. My dad worked at McDonald's. Dog, get out of my face. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm watching you struggle. And, what I'm saying, the homie down the street, like, if I got somebody that's my age making more money than you and you got grades, you can't tell me nothing. And again, not saying right or wrong, that's from an immature mindset, so and because in our culture a lot of it's materialistic, if my homie pushing a 745 and you come up in a Honda, that's a hard conversation to have. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you come up in your own 745, now it's, oh, how you get that? Oh, and that it's sad to say, but that's just,
The reality.
generally how it happens. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's going on, Tensional Millionaire?
Everything is going great. I think the key thing that Tommy B is stating, me and him is kind of the same. From the standpoint, we had our fathers there, even though we was in the projects, and that still had a bigger influence because of the structure. But to answer your question, Tommy, I just know for me, because I never actually saw nobody get killed. But I did witness our neighborhood. We just had a neighborhood where nobody was allowed that wasn't part of the hood. And I remember seeing at probably like 7 or 8 years old, I remember seeing the neighborhood beat the police up and bust his head to the white meat. So, seeing those type of things, it kind of lets you know that you just got to make a decision, but also having exposure is what allow, because here's the thing, you can't capture everybody, but the exposure, what it does is it allows you to throw the net out and grab whoever you can grab that wants to do something different or know to do something different. And I think that's the key thing, but I do agree with you because some people, they become, what I like to say, no to what really goes on, because especially if they wasn't in the projects, haven't experienced the projects. So I just think it's just a matter of really just, casting the net, giving exposure to whoever you can, and then allowing them the opportunity. Because the thing is, normally when you in survival, at least I know for where I grew up at, when you in survival, because I know even some of my, when I grew up in the project, some of my friends would come to our house because we was considered stable because my dad was there. And, my mom, she loved to cook. So when she cooked, our food was their food. But one of the things was he was good at identifying, the ones that just didn't want to listen to anything. And they was the ones that he never wanted me and my brother to hang around. So with that being said, I just think that's the key thing, is just providing the exposure and then allowing the ones that want to come along to come along. And that's really all you can do, because you can't make somebody eat if it's not hungry. That's just really what it boils down to. And I think you said the key thing is, them being immature. And then the thing is, because when you got an immature culture, especially in the social media age, it's more about the status of the flashy stuff that really doesn't allow them to get out, to want to become out. So that's kind of, but I totally 100% agree with what you're saying. And I think the whole Pookie and Ray Ray thing, though, I think that's kind of, to me, that's just in my honest opinion, it's just a shaming tactic that's thrown out by women. I'm just being honest with you, because it
Well, I mean, I've
justifies.
seen a lot of guys in this community use it. I mean,
Yeah,
just
but I think
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I have used it, but after today, I won't use it no more because of what you just explained.
Can I say something? Or if Tim
Sure.
is done, are you finished, Tim? I didn't want to interrupt.
no, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things. I guess I'll go to the back. When we talked about um white supremacy. I thought I heard you talk about like white supremacy and how, you know, black men have the excuse to end up in a situation that a lot of us end up because of that. But I want to kind of add this to the discussion,
Okay.
because when we're talking about, like, you know, exposure, stuff like that, both of you grew up with your fathers, which is a fantastic and great thing. But most of us didn't, right? And it's the environment, right? You're 16 years old. Your mom is like, you gotta pay something to the bills, right? So they go out and do what they gotta do, right? Sometimes mom is dating a dude from that just got out the pen, right? They don't get along. Mom chooses the dude from the pen over the boy, right? What is it? 70% of black boys read below their reading level, right? A lot of this is environment and the home they come from. While we have these situations, and so to say that kind of like, well, I made it out, so everybody else made it out. I will tell you right now, the reason why I made it out is because of the grace of God. Lucky, or for those who don't believe, luck.
Right.
100%. I'll keep it a buck with you. Some things that just happen is because God just said, "Let me help this little Negro out." Right when I was younger, real
Right.
talk. Some of
Right.
this stuff, a lot of this stuff is just luck.
Right.
Right. The reason why I'm not dead and two doors down, my neighbor and his brother is dead. Some of that was decision making, but a lot of that was luck. Because I got shot just walking with him.
Right.
Right. If the bullet was up more, I would not be here today.
Right.
Some stuff is just by the grace of God. And so when we say, well, I made it out, they made it out, I think that's really unfair. That's really unfair because people don't care about black boys. Educational system don't care about black boys. Educational system gets funding to put black boys on Ritalin, right? Majority of black boys in America read below their grade level. Majority of homeless people right now are black men. This is a pandemic, but nobody is saying that. All we're saying is that black men ain't ish, and you don't deserve this unless you're making that. Not knowing that you don't know what it's like, right? When your mom chooses an ex-con over you, right? Now people in the hood, they know what that looks like, right? So now you out the house, right? Because mom chooses the ex-con over you. So now all you got is your boys, right? And you know you do what you do, right?
Mhm.
So the thing about it is, it's just that we need to be careful when we say, well, you know, I made it out. Pull yourself up from the bootstraps, et cetera, et cetera. Because it ain't even white supremacy. If we want to keep it a buck, it ain't even white supremacy. It's how we in Black America treat black boys. And how you start is how you finish. For example, when I went to undergraduate, I was severely underprepared
Right.
because where I started, I was severely underprepared. I graduated second in my class, went to school, bottom of my class. However, when I went to graduate school, I shined because when I went to graduate school, I went there when I'm 35. I had the proper pedigree to compete and perform. But when I was 18, I did not. How you start is how you finish. So when we're talking about Pookie and Ray Ray, we're not looking at how they started. They started in single mom. They started where the mom kicked them out for the dude that just got out of jail, right? They started out in poverty. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be in poverty, live in that environment for 18 years, and now you need to change. That is unrealistic and unsustainable. And we only do that to black men. And it's misandrous because you only do that for black men. You don't do that for any other group in America, right? Tommy Curry is a professor. He has a book called Man Not that talks about this, right? So when we talk about these discussions, it's institutionalized and it's perpetuated by people who look like us in our environment. And I'll close with that. But
What's
check
the
out that
what's the name of the book?
Can I
Man
jump
Not by
in?
Dr. Thomas Curry.
Man
Man
Can I
Not.
throw
Not.
one?
Yes,
Oh, go ahead.
Man Not, Not.
Okay.
Can Can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
Yeah,
Einstein and
yeah.
Ish, I just want to ask you a question. Are you saying that any one of us implied
No,
that?
that was for Dojo Manhood. Actually, this was an earlier conversation, not
Oh,
you.
okay. Because I was gonna say I don't subscribe to that. I just say
Okay.
for us that make it out, that's why we supposed to provide some level of exposure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree
Yeah,
with you. I agree.
that's all I was saying. But no, I totally understand. I know
Yeah.
what it's like because I know I got friends that, they it's just the environment. And because they haven't had that level of exposure, they can't see beyond that. And part of that is too because how things are designed, it keeps the system is kind of designed to
Right.
keep it that way. So it's
Right.
almost kind of designed and make it almost like a indirectly geographic demographic type of thing, if that make any
Right.
sense.
Right. Well, I mean, look at Obama. He tried to pass the look at Obama. He tried to pass the My Brother's Keepers bill. That got shot down, right? And research who that got shot down from. Look at who's that billionaire that went to Morehouse and paid everybody's debt, right?
I remember.
Robert Smith. Robert Smith. Look at the backlash he got, right? Because America works on class, right? And in order for America to work and function, you need to have a bottom class. You need to have a class where everybody can look to and say, I'm doing better than them, so I'm okay. Go America. And unfortunately, that is not the black community, but that's the black male community. And that's just real talk, because you have Black Girls Rocks, which you should have. I'm not complaining. You should have that, right? You should have these programs to get black women educated. You absolutely should. But on the same, you should also have that for black boys. And right now we don't. You have it for black women only. Just now, in Georgia, like maybe a day or two ago, right? Black women will now get I believe will get um what is it, universal basic income for only black women, right? Morgan Stanley is going to donate 50 billion to black women to invest in education, invest in small businesses, etc., right, to help kind of initiate in the she economy, right? Now, as men, should we be complaining that we're not getting it from Morgan Stanley? I don't know, because that's a private institution and we can get it ourselves. But when the government is start giving money to black women and leaving black men absent, I think that's problematic. But if black women are truly down with us and they with the cause and they ride or die, we shall see, right? Are they going to use the money to uplift the community, or are they going to use the money to uplift themselves? And that's an open-ended question that only time could tell. But to highlight the overall arching point is that America works on a class system where black men have to be, statistically, majority have to be the underclass to make everybody else feel happy.
I
That's it.
100%
Anybody
agree on
got
that.
something to say?
Yeah, I think another thing that's often I looked at too, and I think this is an American thing, not a black thing, is once somebody's put in handcuffs, we just throw them away. Before trial or anything, you're the bad guy. Go. I got a brother that's been in prison for 15 years or something he didn't do, and we working on getting him out now. That's a whole nother trauma that you go through. You know what I'm saying? I drive a truck for a living, man. I'd be driving down the road sometimes just break down just thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff we're supposed to do, all this and that. Um, again with my dad, I've literally how close I was. Before I went to the military, I had picked up one of my boys and took him on a run that I shouldn't have took him on. And my dad had been telling me about, riding with him or whatever. Week later, he get picked up, life sentence for murders. Had he been in my car, they'd have took me too. And then in my situation, I can't say nothing because if I say something, the hood know where my family stay. So I could easily, literally 1 week away from sitting in a pen for a whole for life for bodies that I ain't never even seen before. And that happens so much in the hood that people don't know. It's ridiculous. And so this notion that you know, people coming home from the pen and, oh, you shouldn't have did. One thing that I always do is a lot of when my friends get home from the pen, I tell them, get your CDLs. Because I'm so plugged in now, I can get people jobs. You know what I'm saying? So I done got probably 3 people jobs, starting at 50. And, the more years they go, I plug them, plug them, plug them. And I got a couple of them that have hit the 6 figures and stuff. But it's like I said, I mean, that's why when I hear that phrase, it makes me cringe. It don't personally like, it's not a shot or nothing. But when I hear that phrase, and I think it's just because of my brain too. I just naturally think deeper on stuff. It's not just surface. But whenever I hear that phrase, I'm just like, y'all don't know what them folks went through. You know what I'm saying? It's people just look at stuff so vanilla sometimes. I just, and then I think some people are traumatized by those type of people. Because those Pookie and Ravers are generally ones that was picking on you in the hood or making you feel unsafe in the hood. So I think that's also another factor of, oh, I made it, now I'm doing better than you. So
Mhm.
I'm a generalize you.
Gotcha. It's all hot air. Welcome, welcome. She is also going to be on the platform too. So give a big shout out to her. Give a big shout out. Jason the Boss says, Hail Mary. I have no clue what that means. But I will say this. If y'all ain't got nothing extra to say, y'all have given me a great deal of knowledge, great deal of understanding, great deal of things just to meditate on, pray on. I don't know if you was here earlier, Tommy, when I said I'm about to put a major book study on. So look out for that, because I'm gonna probably do it one day out the week where I'm gonna just be dropping knowledge on certain books so that we can start doing some book study, because where I'm at, I can only elevate those who's around me and move up. It's hard for me to go down. I mean, I can go down, but I feel the only people that can go down is the ones that understand it. If that's a selfish way or whatever, you've kind of give some clarity. You know what I'm saying? I can only do what I can do where I'm at. So I just appreciate you.
Yeah, I saw you on Lead Attorney. That's where I first saw you, and then I chopped it up with you on the other channel. So yeah, I'm tapped in. I'm subscribed and everything, so I'm with you.
All right, appreciate you. Like I said, got you, Intentional Millionaire. I got you.
I just
Like
want
I
to
said,
say
go ahead,
um,
Tim.
thanks, Uncle Stu, for having a conversation. Thanks, Tommy B. Tommy, you have a channel?
No, I'm actually about to start it up. I'm kind of getting everything. I just got all my equipment and stuff, so I'm about to start. I've seen you a couple of times too on some of the shows. I'm about to subscribe to you too, also.
Okay, yeah, I want to definitely come over and support. So let us know when you get a channel up, and we'll definitely come over and support. But it's
Will do.
definitely a great conversation, because you brought up a point that most people really don't consider, but I can totally relate. And that's why I was telling Uncle Stu when I did my when I spoke with him last week, was I think of myself as an outlier, because I did have my dad there, and it was such a pinnacle. He was such a inspiration, and those key pinnacle points that made a decision, that helped make the decision to swing the pendulum in the right way, just because he was there. And I think that's just so critical. So
Yeah, I tell everybody, and it's no disrespect to my mom, but if my dad wasn't gone, I mean, if my dad wasn't there, I'd I'd be trouble. Like just straight up, I'd be trouble.
Understandable. Understandable. Yeah, tap in, email me, whatever we can help you with, let me know. And I got you.
All right, I
I
appreciate it.
got you. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get ready to shut down this stream.
All right,
And I just want to say thank y'all for y'all who rock with me, stayed here and heard great conversation. So we're going to continue to keep on rocking, keep on moving. I love y'all. Remember, we are mission focused, results driven. So what's the mission? I need to get to 200 before the end of this month.
200 subscribers for the end of this month, and let's have some results and not just problems and complaints. I love y'all. Peace.